Do you struggle with low self confidence? Has there been times when you had let go of opportunities because you were not sure if you are good enough? Or felt really anxious because you were not confident? Well, a lot of people feel that way. Are there ways that you can overcome this lack of confidence rapidly? Yes, there are. And if you'd like to learn, you are in for a treat. Because today, our guest is going to share some practical tips to feel more confident instantly. So let's learn from her. Welcome to Happy and Healthy Mind Program 126. Today, our guest is Tamara Flug. She is Swiss fun and confidence coach. This little nagging voice in your head that can be quite annoying. When you get coached by her, you'll have this little voice under control so that you can finally accept and love yourself and have fun and uncomplicated life. Tamra has been a teacher to a marketing manager to a life coach, and she has coached about 1,500 people overcome self doubt and be confident in life. And I'm your host, Dr. Rosina Lakhani. I help leaders reverse burnout using their own digital markers. I've been helping people come out of severe depression and anxiety over last 26 years as a psychiatrist. And I realized that the root cause of many of both mental and physical illnesses is chronic stress. Therefore, I focus on helping you eliminate stress induced burnout and develop mental resilience so you can live your best life with hope, health, and happiness. If you like this content, please share with others. But if you need medical advice, please consult your healthcare professional. All right, so let's jump in. Tamra, thank you so much for joining us today, all the way from Geneva, Switzerland.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Dr. Rosina. It's a pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And so tell me, how did this topic become important for you? How was your life before you applied some of the tools that you're going to teach us today?
Yeah, for sure. And I think you know best as a doctor that I think it's important also to go to some place we want to take our clients, so we really know where they start and what they want instead, where they want to go. So I was really, like seeking back then approval and yeah, like validation from other people. And then I got coached a lot and I still get coached because I think everybody needs the doctor and the coach. We cannot have like a brain surgeon. We cannot have surgery on our own brain. So this really like coaching really helped me because it's really focusing on what we're thinking, which I think our thinking create our life. So if we want something to be different, which here it's like feeling less insecure and beating ourselves up consistently, you can get coached on this and yeah, get coached on what you're thinking and choose to think something else instead.
Wonderful. So you were feeling self-doubt yourself before,
Yeah.
and you realized how important it was because you were losing some opportunities because
Yes,
of that
exactly.
confidence.
Yes, exactly. And feeling like not good enough. You mentioned it also, and this is so hard because just imagine how you're showing up when you feel like you're not good enough. You want validation, approval, and yeah, you don't seize opportunities and seize, the day when you feel like so insecure, and you feel like not good enough. And then yeah, I really got coached on also. I love thinking that like confidence and actually feeling good enough is a choice we make, not only like it's not a destination we can just choose, but it's we have to cultivate it, but this is what coaching
Right,
is all
right.
about.
Yeah, and we'd love to learn some of the tools how to do that. But tell me, like, how is life different once you develop this
Yes, it's
confidence?
such a good question because I think what is amazing and why I love to focus on confidence because I started coaching like weight loss, productivity, dating, all of it. But I do believe that deep down it goes down to self-worth and what we give ourselves, permission to believe about ourselves that we are worthy, and then there will never be enough people that will make us feel worthy if we don't give ourselves this approval and validation we want from others. So yeah, but to answer your question, I think that confidence impact so much all of our life because when you feel confident and you have your own back, it doesn't matter what life throws at you. You know you can handle anything. Like you have it under control, because you have your action, your emotion, your thoughts under control. And I think, and this is what I love sharing with other people, I think this is what I truly found, and I'm helping people with this. I believe in it that we all seek, this genuine emotional peace and freedom. That again, no matter what we feel, what's happening, we can handle it because we have it under control. We have our life under control.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, so let's teach some of the tools to our audience. When you said how, you can feel more confident instantly, can you give us some tip? How can I
Of
be more confident?
course. This is my favorite part. I love it. So the first thing, and we mentioned it, I love to use also what the amazing host that you are like shared about feeling not good enough. We have 60,000 thoughts per day, everyone, and I'm not good enough. It's actually just a thought, but we believe it to be true. And again, we act on it. Like we show up in a world. You can just imagine in the world, you can just imagine somebody walking down the street and interacting with people just thinking that they're not good enough. It's like so much, it's impacting really like our day-to-day life. So the very first thing that I think I wish somebody would tell me that at school, this is what we should learn at school, is not to believe everything we think, because we have so many thoughts and we really act on them. But when you think about it, like I'm not good enough, it's just a thought. It doesn't matter until we believe it to be true. And then again we act on it. But just the first step always, it's to really like observe ourselves thinking, which I think this is what makes us the only species that was able to get like stay alive, and not disappear. It's because we can think about our thinking, but we need to really use it even like more than ever to not believe everything we think and just question it and see that it's just a thought. Like I'm not good enough. It's not necessarily true. Why do people think that they're good enough and others? This is why it's not true. It's just another
Right,
problem.
right. So let's kind of make it a little more practical and let's like, use me as a case study. So let's say, and I had to go through this multiple times myself because, whether it was writing the book or starting the
Mm.
podcast or going on the stage to speak or even, getting to the medical school or residency, like everywhere you need to have the confidence to be able to present. If you don't believe in yourself, then you can't, others would also not believe in you. But it is very common when you're doing something for the first time. Let's say,
Yes.
let's say using the example of if you're going on the stage to speak, the first time, those self-doubt thoughts are normal.
Yes.
Because you have not tested if you're actually good enough on something. So how do you, because there's some truth to it, right? You're not sure if you'd be a good speaker, you're not sure if you're going to be able to talk confidently in front of people. So let's say, imagine that I am the first time going on the stage and to give a speech. How can I prepare myself or get over this self-doubt?
Yes, of course. And I think, self-doubt back then it's like our brain is still, this kind of primitive brain that just wants to keep us alive. So it is going to tell you basically your brain when it's offering us self-doubt and fear, going on stage for this example, it's because it's thinking, the brain is thinking that we are going to die. So it's telling you, do not go on stage. But today it's just not as useful because we're not going to get eaten by a lion. So the first thing to do with the example that you shared, for me, how I would approach this is first to identify just one thought. I believe that our emotions come from what we're thinking. So if we feel self-doubt, let's just point at, we don't have to be overwhelmed and make it just also fun process to point out that one thing we're thinking, like for example, I'm not gonna be good enough. And in that moment, this is already like we label also we are more comfortable with what we know. So I know this is what I'm thinking that create the self-doubt right before going on stage. And then validate it, like this is a thought, like getting more familiar with it, like sending love to this thought, and then like questioning, but maybe it's not true. Maybe what is good enough also, it's in the eyes of people, when you play a bit with the thought. And then as this with the same idea, how do I want to feel on purpose, because I believe again that our thought create our emotion. So if I want to feel confident, of course it needs to be something that is believable, but maybe something like I'm gonna do it and see how it goes, or other people have done it, or it can be like you just need to try thoughts like a clothes, something you're trying on and see if it really feels confident. But this is just easy ways to do it. First, really to label, like to know what we're thinking that create the self-doubt. Very practically, as you said, probably I've never done it before. I think this is a good thought, I've never done it before, it creates self-doubt. And just say like, yeah, I've never done it before. And it's just a thought, and not believing it. And then, okay, I want to feel confident. What can I think? Like, this is gonna be fun, But I think this is a choice that we make. Every thought is optional. So but this is what we do also in coaching. So to
Right,
train
right,
the
right,
brain.
right. So let me bring another common thing. Let's say if you, like a lot of patients I see, a lot of, especially young people, they feel like if they make a blunder of themselves, like, and then people are going to mock them and they are going to be, laughing stock, and so they would feel embarrassed. And so that would increase their self doubt. And so, what would you say to that person who is first time going to speak, and many times, the kids would not speak in front of the class because of that fear, or would not speak in the
Yeah,
social group. What if something wrong comes out of my mouth? What if I make a fool out of myself? What if I say something stupid? And so
yeah.
what would you tell that person to overcome that kind of fear?
Yeah, and I think it's so good that you give like practical examples so we can really picture ourselves, in real life. And in this moment, the thing that I would love to talk like with like these people about is really to like fear all of these emotions, self-doubt, as we saw before, they are basically like created in our mind. So I believe just because then it's more empowering, then we have more power over them. So what if actually fear or feeling embarrassed or feeling self-doubt, like it's not a problem. We can feel an emotion, process it for 90 seconds. It's very uncomfortable, but it's also, I think, a skill that we can learn to develop, not to resist it. And I think the most important here, not to make it mean that something's wrong or that it's going to go like bad or like somebody will mock us. Like I think this is where I like also to focus on what's in our control. What people will say. We do our best, like to show up as the best like version of ourselves in that moment, the confident one, but we do what we can from where we are, which is controlling our emotions by processing the uncomfortable negative ones, such as self doubt, embarrassed, and not making it mean something's wrong. It's just our brain that is on survival mode and it's just meaning well, and really send love to the fear. And then, yeah, really like focus on what we want to feel instead in that moment. Because I think you can still make an amazing, and best because you wrote these books and all of this, but you can still achieve amazing success in your life while having a lot of self-doubt, feeling embarrassed. I think we all feel it all the time. I think this would be more like true to share, than saying that successful people feel amazing all the time. It's not true. I believe that we all have a human brain that will still offer horrible, like very annoying thoughts.
Hmm. So feel the fear and do it anyways.
Yeah, I think. No, what do you think? It
Yeah,
could be.
I love that book and that way of thinking. Feel the fear because it's a signal. It's an emotional signal.
Mm,
It's going to pass, and if what I say is like if your purpose is bigger than the problem, then you can overcome.
yeah, it's true.
So if you focus on the purpose, and then you say, okay, yeah, I feel fear, and then that is a chance of you stumbling on your words or you forgetting things.
Yeah.
But if you never try, then you're never going to succeed.
Yeah, and I think when you mentioned it, it's talking also about like people who want to they're really perfectionists. Like often, we want things to be perfect. But I think with COVID and everything, and we talked about it before, but I think people crave authenticity, real. Like of course people are gonna mock us or if we stumble, but I think we don't have to make it mean that something wrong with us. I think we can all be examples of just being authentic, true, and it means making mistakes sometimes. I think we all just need a bit of loose, relax and not taking it so serious, I think.
So taking the fun approach, saying it's okay if I do mistake, I'll still have fun.
Yeah, I
Um,
think, no?
help other people. If I do that, I'd be able to shine and give my best to the world. Yeah, and so let's see if somebody has had an experience where they were in a situation like that. So when I was 19 and I got on the stage and I totally blanked out.
Mm,
And it's like I was supposed to give 15 minutes speech, and I started my first sentence, and then I totally zoned out, like not zoned out, like totally blanked out, and my mind could not think about what was my next sentence I was supposed to say. And I just said thank you and sat down. So my 15-minute speech became 15 seconds.
mm.
And it was embarrassing. I was laughing about it. It was very embarrassing, and it was very hard to overcome that negative experience to
Yeah.
get the confidence again, to be the speaker again. And so
Yeah.
if somebody did have a negative experience like that, how do you help them overcome? Because it's true, it has happened, so there's a chance that it may happen again. And so of course there is going to be this fear. How would you help that person overcome that fear? What if I'm going to forget, or and I'm totally going to again make a fool out of myself, and I
Yeah.
have done that before, and so I don't want to do that again. My reputation is on stake. What would you tell that person?
Yeah, and first, congrats on going when you were 19. It's amazing. I was not doing this when I was 19, I can assure you. But to answer your question, I think the first thing, and it's so important, we mentioned emotions and thoughts, it's not to identify ourselves, like label ourselves with our experiences or behaviors. I believe we are not our thoughts, we are not our emotions, we are not our experiences. Like what is interesting, it's really not really about what happened in the past, no matter what like story we have that we are so afraid it may happen again. But it's really the story we tell ourselves again about it, like that, what we make it mean, that maybe it's not for us, maybe like, yeah, maybe I'm not good enough because I was not good. But if you take just this event by itself, I believe in this kind of small events, the really the past exists only in the thoughts that we have about it. So it is a choice that we make consciously to use it to beat ourselves up, such as, yeah, anyway, I'm not good for this, and we're gonna like prove it true. The brain is very efficient. So if we think I'm not good for this, it will find you all the evidence in the world to see that you're not good for this. But I love really to say that we can use everything that happened like for us to us, but as a way, really an opportunity to love ourselves and accept what happened. We don't have to love the experience, and kind of toxic positivity. It happened for a reason. Maybe it was just horrible at that moment, but just now make a conscious look, like, yeah, choice to look at it as, yeah, it made me stronger. Now I got familiar with the emotion of embarrassment or insecurity. And then it goes down to the idea, like we talked about, the fact of when you feel this genuine peace and freedom, the worst that can happen is an emotion. But when you learn how to handle it and process it, nothing can really touch you. Like it's horrible, but I think the story we're telling ourselves about what was horrible is even more horrible than the emotion itself, if that makes sense.
So what I'm hearing is that recognize the emotion, tell yourself that it is just a thought and it's not true. And then if you still feel, if it was true, like, in my situation, it was true, I did embarrass myself.
You had an emotion, yeah.
It's an emotion and it's an experience, and I learn from it, and I don't have to define myself because of
Yeah.
that
This is, I
experience.
think, the cherry on the cake is really to make sure you don't label yourself as a person who cannot do speech because when you were 19. Because, I like the idea of like, what would you tell a friend? A friend will tell you this experience and you will open your heart and say, of course, it doesn't mean anything about you, about the person that you are. But we are so much nicer with other people than we are with ourselves. So the way that I look at it here objectively for you is really like, yeah, and so what? It's amazing you've done this. Now you're on to another experience, and it's probably going to be less bad because you already have the first one.
Right, right. It's not as bad as before.
And it has been. Look where it brought you. I think that it's kind of fitting.
Right,
No,
right.
but I get it. It sounds horrible.
Well, at that time it was horrible.
Totally
Yeah,
get it.
for some time it really affected the confidence. But I do think that when you have something really negative experience, then you kind of prepared. Okay, what's the worst that could happen? What's further worse that could happen? So it's a whatever is going to happen. And then
Mm.
whatever is going to happen, I'm going to deal with it. If it
Yeah,
happens,
it's
then it
true.
happens.
But
But some
what you said got excited. But the idea what you said about the worst case scenario is so important because, for example, a presentation, most of the time we believe in the value, like what we wanted to share, in that presentation. So the worst case scenario is actually people not getting what we want to share with them. So of course, the worst case for us is we're gonna be embarrassed, and what you said, people will think something about us. But I think if we believe in like what we want to share with what you're doing with all of your podcasts, the worst that can happen, and this is why you can redirect your brain from focusing on you and your fears, but on what you give to other people and how much it's going to be helpful. And then you're just on a roll because the worst that can happen is not helping them. I think.
right. So the benefit that you're going to bring to others, focusing on the purpose.
Yeah.
So we talked about identifying the thought and not believing all the thoughts. identifying the emotions and put it in the perspective, taking the fun perspective, and just go for the adventure, try it
Yeah.
out, do things.
And you said just because, like going on stage or any other practical situation where people feel, I coach a lot on also having an opinion and wanting to share it. People feel judged, and criticized often. I think it's also about looking at it way less seriously. Sometimes people think that they have a problem to solve. The personal development, I love all of this. And at the same time, some people use it sometimes against themselves, such as, I have to do this to improve myself. But you don't, like, you can get better just because you choose to, but we are already worthy. I love to give the example of newborns. They are born like this. They like this. They don't do anything. They did not say anything. They did not, yeah, really do anything, and they have so much value into people's eyes. So we are just grown up newborns. So we are
Grown up
worthy.
newborns. That's wonderful.
We don't need to achieve anything to give ourselves permission to believe we're worthy. And again, how do you show up during the day when you believe this, that you're worthy? It's completely different experience.
Right, right, right. That is wonderful. So yeah, so give us your best advice.
The best one, really, really, I think it's kind of simple. I think that we make things very, sophisticated and complicated. I really think it's this. We have 60,000 thoughts per day, and just observe yourself thinking just maybe one or two times during the day. The easiest is to think, to try to connect to the emotion when we feel insecure, self-doubt, stuck, frustrated, all of the funny ones, emotion, and just to try to point at one thought that we're having and just look at it for what it is. It's just a few words next to each other, but we make it mean so much. I would just say this, really, to not believe everything your brain is telling you, and just have fun looking at your thoughts. We are a credible species, I think.
That's wonderful,
You
wonderful.
agree, doctor?
And so, do you have some exercise that you can do, like just before going for an interview, just going before going for an exam, or going for a meeting where you have to present something or a speech? Do you have any fast exercises that people could do?
Yeah, the first one, like the one that I think on the tip of my tongue, like this, it's really to think, okay, if I want to be like the best, to have self-confident hero, and to imagine people that have confidence in that moment, what are they thinking? Just to again go back to thinking, because I believe it's the origin of everything. So just imagine somebody we know, even if it's somebody famous, they are probably confident, even if we think that they're confident, and just picture yourself and trying to embody their body and see really what they are thinking, and yeah, trying these thoughts on and see if they help us feel confident, and not also to resist and reject all the other thoughts, because I think they're just gonna run there, and what you resist persists. So just acknowledge the thoughts that make you feel insecure, but right before making a presentation, talking to someone, I heard a lot on dating, what would somebody that is confident, what would they be thinking, feeling? And then I think it's a skill to develop. Just like take it one day at a time, and we'll get better at this.
Wonderful, wonderful. And thank you so much for sharing the gift that you're going to share with our
Yes.
audience. So, Tamra is going to share a gift called 12 Awesome Ways to Overcome Self Doubt. So, tell us a little bit more about when people get that gift, what are they going to get in it?
Yes, so actually I made it short and sweet, because I think, we are really busy, everyone. So it's really like one PDF. No, I think it's 2 pages, but I made it a bit like pretty, and it's with 12 ways to like really overcome self-doubt in the moment, of course, accepting it, but really like overcoming self-doubt. And it's exactly what we mentioned. Like I'm having a look now at it. And the second way is, what is the worst case scenario? So it's exactly what we talked about. And yeah, I also wrote, yeah, it doesn't need to be perfect, is the last one I shared also, because we always reach for perfection. But actually, it's like a good dish of pasta. It can be amazingly tasty. It doesn't have to be perfect to be amazing. So yeah. So there are a
That's what
few ways like this.
you can be amazing even if you're not the tastiest
Yeah,
pasta.
exactly. It goes with the idea when people, are afraid of not being liked. I always tell them, you can be the juiciest peach ever. There are still people that don't like peaches. So just like, let people be wrong about you. And for this, it goes exactly. Yeah, you're right. This.
You could be amazing even if you're not perfect.
Yeah. And actually, what will bring us showing up as the most amazing version of ourselves is thinking that we're amazing, which is a practice. But again, it is true when you see somebody that is thinking they're amazing, in a position of somebody that doesn't believe this, the impact in their life, the way they go to the day-to-day life and on stage and everything is completely different. Like there are no downsides to believing anything. Everything we believe, we go to bed, we make plans for next week. We don't know we're going to wake up in the morning. So it just
Right.
like choose to believe things that there are no downsides. And then people will tell me, I'm going to feel disappointed. And I'm like, so what? You feel disappointed? you know,
So what if somebody is not amazing?
I think everybody's amazing at a different level. No, and genuinely mean it. Is it a lie? No, but I think in their own way. I
Yeah.
think, this is what makes the world so beautiful is that I don't think I will not get along with everyone. Not everybody will like me, but I do think that I'm amazing because, again, I think also I cannot hang out with everybody. So I prefer everybody not to like me because I don't have time to coach everyone. No, but you see, even this, we can take it lightly, like it's just for fun. But as long as you think you're amazing, I think people will be attracted to feel also
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. The reason I ask this question
Yeah.
is because a lot of times people think that they are not amazing.
Mm,
And so I think everybody has some kind of unique
yeah.
within themselves, right?
Yes.
And
And I would ask them, what does amazing look like? Like, who would be a definition of amazing person?
right, right. Yeah, so then they have this higher level for they feel like, this person is amazing, but I'm not. And so
Mm,
asking this question, what is your definition of amazing?
yeah.
May help you kind of identify because you are unique within yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny you mentioned this. I think I would also ask people like, give me an example of somebody you think they're amazing. And people sometimes feel like they are stuck in kind of a personality, but I'm like this. But I think every day we can choose who we want to become. If amazing means being more open-minded, what's stopping us from being more open-minded? No matter the definition of amazing. I think again, it doesn't have to be too serious. Like what, you know.
Yeah. And then they will say, "Oh, I've never been like that." And so, like you said, what's stopping you from becoming amazing? Your own definition of amazing. And people think like it's either black or white, like either you are
Hmm.
confident or you are not, or you are amazing or you're not. But then there's a lot of gray line, right? So you
For
could be on the
sure.
path of being the best version of yourself, but you could be here or here or here, but still your best version in this moment.
Yeah, and it's so good you mentioned this because Beth, that it's a cognitive bias to have black and white. I think the brain just wants to make shortcuts. It cannot reinvent the wheel every day, so it is going to think that to be good enough, you need this, all the list. But I totally agree with you that there is a gray zone. You can be 1% more confident today just by believing that this makes you good enough today. It doesn't have to look like the list of amazing. Just one thing is
Wonderful,
already, just one step at a time. Also, not to take it too hard on yourself.
wonderful, wonderful. All right. So if people want to learn more about your amazing tips and be more
Not
confident,
everyone. No, I'm kidding.
how can they reach you?
Yes, for sure. So you can look at, like, for me, for my website. So it's personal-development-zone.com. And there, yeah, you have. Actually, I shared 17 random facts about me. It looks like it's the page that people love to visit the most. And yeah, and I share like things that to help people already feel more confident instantly.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. And then, if our audience wants the gift of 12 awesome ways to overcome self doubt, you can go to our website, happyandhealthymind.com, and check the resources. And we have stored all the gifts from our wonderful guest over there, so you can get this gift. And tell me one thing that you really liked about all the tips that Tamra shared today. Please share it in the comments. And if you feel like you got the value, please like, subscribe, and share so more people can get benefit and live their best life. So let me leave you guys with one question. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. What are you going to choose? Are you going to continue to allow these thoughts that may be directing you to leave or not avail the opportunities that are presented because you feel like you're not good enough? Or you're going to utilize some of the tips that you learned today, overcome that self-doubt, accept yourself amazing as you are, and so you can give the world the best you have to offer. On that note, Stay safe, happy, and healthy. Until next time, Dr. Rosina, and thank you, Tamra, for joining us today.
Thank you so much.